TheGamingBeavers Giant Salamander mod is now available in Path of Titans for all of you to play through the game's mod menu. This is a mod that is based off the Japanese Giant Salamander and is part of one of TheGamingBeavers' pushes to help save this animal from extinction. Now, you would have seen his videos on YouTube showcasing this creature in its natural habitat and talking about it, explaining more information on it, and it's very good videos. And they've made this mod as a way to help and spread that further. If you do want to help support this animal, the actual giant salamander, the Japanese giant salamander that is heading towards extinction, I recommend you go to Sustainable Daizen, which I've probably mispronounced, but there you can find all the information on how to support the team, contact them, how to find out more about the giant salamander and all that. But to put it short, this is a real creature, a giant salamander from Japan, where its home is around Mount Daizen. And this is a creature that's very unique, but sadly and unfortunately, it's very quickly heading towards extinction due to various different things that are affecting its habitats. For example, dams and stuff like that, which prevent it from actually being able to survive and thrive. So if you want to help support the cause, I recommend you do go to Sustainable Daizen. I'll have a link in the comments and the description, and you'll be able to find out there. Anyways, let's get into the mod and let's showcase it off. So there's a lot to showcase here. This is the giant salamander. Here it is. The model is beautiful. I love it. It's obviously a giant salamander. That's all you need to know. But this thing is a semi-aquatic, but I think it goes off the full aquatic kind of lifestyle in a sense. You get the male and the female. So here's the male, here's the female. So the female, the dots on it are less pronounced, so to say, the colorations. And then these are the subspecies. The standard one is plus 5% land speed and turn radius. The flat subspecies is plus 3 times poison on mucus hide, which is pretty neat. It's more flat, of course, compared to the other one. I mean, it's probably more noticeable when you have it this way. Yeah, definitely more like a pancake. They've got the paddle tail, which has plus 10% swim speed. Obviously, main difference is the paddle tail. Thick, which is plus 7% health. You know, the main difference here is obviously it kind of looks like the flat one. It's just really thick. Then you've got spiky, which kind of reminds me of one of the evolutions in, I think it's Jurassic World the game, right? The Park Builder games of, I don't know what it was. One of the big amphibians, I believe, but it kind of looks like that, and it's plus 10% stamina recovery. And then you've got Kulasuchus, which obviously this one is based off of Kulasuchus, plus 5% attack damage and 20% clamp weight, so this one can pick things up. Then of course you go back to the standard, and that is the giant salamander subspecies. Let's go check it out in game as the baby. So here we have the little baby giant salamander, and this thing is tiny. It kind of resembles that of an axolotl when it's a baby in a sense, but I guess maybe a lot of salamanders do look like this when they're a baby. That being said, it is very white when it's a baby as well. That could be the baby skin, and of course this thing is more of a semi-aquatic. It's a lot more movable and mobile in the water, as you can tell. And this thing is absolutely adorable. You do get a standard bite attack with it as well when you are a baby, and it has a second cooldown. And of course, when it comes to its attack damage with that standard bite, you want to test it on something that is, small enough, because, it's a baby and it probably is not going to be that big. This is what the baby looks like compared to the Deinonychus, and we'll compare the adult to a Deinonychus as well. But this is what the baby's attack damage is to a Deinonychus. As you can see, it is very, very little. You're only going to be biting the ankles as a baby because you can't jump. And that's the theme as this thing grows to be bigger. The Giant Salamander is stacked with abilities. You're always going to have something to show for it, whether that's passive abilities or attacks. When it comes to your original passives, your common passives, you have both Nimble and Nictating Membrane. Nictating Membrane is essentially an ability that allows you to see clear in water. A lot of semi-aquatics and aquatics have that in the game. Nimble increases all turning radius by 15% as well. Then you get your head attacks. You get 3, you get 2 options that you can fill in here. You get your standard Chomp, which is a charge up attack and inflict damage based on how long it's held. You get your Bite, which causes medium damage, and you get Clamp, which is a bite and hold onto your enemies. So, like that of Sarko. That being said, you've got 4 sensors and 1 choice here to pick from. So you got Nocturnal, which gains 15% increased damage and 5% increased movement / swimming speed during the night. You've got Hydrating Blows, which deals 20% more damage to wet targets. Lone Salamander, which is a 10% armor increase and increased maneuverability when not in a group. And Nest Protector, which increases attack by 8% when grouped with an adolescent or under, and can stack up to 3 times for every salamander with this ability in your group, which is very nice. For your front limb, you get 2 abilities. These are a 90-degree left bite and a 90-degree right bite. Both of these cause medium damage and can only be usable while standing on land or slowly diving in the water. Now, do bear in mind, one of the key things that I've noticed, you can only sleep and change your abilities when you are in the water as well. Although this is technically more of a semi-aquatic, it's like aquatics where you can only rest and change abilities and all that jazz in the water. For metabolisms, you get 4 and 1 option once again. Firstly, you get Dormancy, which is in tough times, the salamander can get into a dormant state. This immensely reduces hunger drain and movement speed. Only allows you to eat fish. Carnivore increases attack damage by plus 2%. Able to eat meat, fish, and shellfish. Then Fisher only allows you to eat fish and shellfish. Slow hunger drain. Insectivore increases turn rate by 4% and only allows you to eat insects. So that's going to be quite a tough one to manage. For the hides, you get 4 hides once again, 1 choice to pick all of these from. Toxic mucus is when aggravated or stressed enough, the giant salamander can secrete a toxic sticky mucus. Attackers take poison damage upon hitting the amphibian. You also dry faster when you are on land, and it helps with the wallowing ability as well. So that's an ability I showcased with the baby, and I'll showcase again in a minute. You get to wallow, which makes yourself dirty in a sense, and that's important because when you're wet, you can't wallow, or you don't get the effects of wallowing. Then you get Regenerating Hide, which is where wound healing proceeds incredibly quickly in salamanders. Increases health recovery rate by 25%. Then you get Resilient Hide, which increases bleed and venom healing by 30%, and Slippery Hide, which is unable to be grappled or pounced. For back limb, you get 2 here. You get Embankment, and then you get an attack. Embankment is where you slow swim or sleep for 5 seconds to increase damage and bleed resistance. Enormously, this effect is stronger at the bottom of a riverbed, slows down movement, and grants immunity to all clamps / grabs. And then of course you've got Rapid Lunge, which is a long and fast lunge attack that deals high damage. Only works in the water. Then you go to your tail, you get Paddle Tail, which increases swim speed and swim turn radius. Then you've got Tail Attack, which is a standard little tail attack. Now let's showcase all of these attacks off. Now, one thing I do want to say is I now have a different raptor here instead, and he's a little bit bugged out, but we've gone with an Achillobator instead because, well, I think these attacks might be quite dangerous. That being said, I do want to showcase firstly the clamp and the normal bite, and then after that we'll do the grab on a smaller target. So this is the big bite, the one where you charge it up and do a lot of damage. This is how much it does to an Achillobator. A lot. That is just less than a quarter of your health gone there. Your standard bite does a lot less, but it's got a very quick cooldown, so you can just stack it pretty much, and you can pretty much tear through an opponent. Now remember, Achillobator is a free slot, so it's no slacker when it comes to this stuff. Then you have your left bite, which is same damage as your normal bite, but you also have your right bite as well. which is same damage once again. Then you move into the tail attack, which has a lot less damage. I honestly preferably would go for paddle tail. You're likely going to have that semi-aquatic gameplay style anyways. It does look like this has a very slight knockback because the Kilobator is slightly moving. Now the other attack is the lunge, and this one I had to waddle my Kilobator into the water unfortunately for it, but this is how much damage it does. A lot. That is a lot of damage. You've got a 22-second cooldown roughly there, but yeah, that does a significant amount. It's about the same as a fully charged big bite, but now let's move into showcasing that clamp ability. So, the clamp ability itself can't pick up targets as big as in a Kilobator, but it's likely that this will be able to pick up stuff like that of a Deinonychus, as you can see. Then you can drag it in to a watery grave, unfortunately for the Deinonychus, but I'm going to really quickly just take it out and just leave it be here. That being said, the Giant Salamander is still very mobile on the ground as well. Even when you're not in the water, this thing is quick. It's very quick actually, but it comes at home in the water, and that's where this thing will likely call its home. When it comes to the skins, this thing has 12 skins. You've got the default skin, which is right here, and the patterns are, of course, there, as you can see. Then you get the deserted skin. Deserted, I think that's it. You know what, that word kind of threw me off. That being said, you've got the swamp. Obviously, this is nice yellows, more deserty. Then you've got the swamp, which is obviously darker colours built for the swamp. Then you've got the exotic one, which kind of reminds me of the poison dart frogs, so to say. And you've got the cavern one. You get the cherry, which is by far my favourite skin. I love the blends of the reds, the yellows, and the oranges. It's kind of like my OC's colours in a sense. That being said, it's gorgeous, and this pattern, definitely my favourite. The next skin is blind. These are all the patterns. Then you get icy hot, which is a beautiful one. I love the design on the patterns as well on this one, mainly pattern 2 and 3. Then you got Bard, and then Kool-Aid, which is very similar to Cherry, but more blacks and yellows instead of oranges and reds. Then you get Plushie, which is based off the Salamander Plushie. There are no patterns here, of course, but it is expensive, 50,000 marks. You got 4,500, 10,000, 50,000, and then 4,500 again with Fire Belly, which is a really, really nice skin. The marks on these are pretty standard across the board, aside from the plushie one, of course. That being said, that is all of the skins. So there we have it. That is the TheGamingBeavers Giant Salamander mod. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments down below. I'm a big fan of this one, and I really like it. I think this is a really unique creature. It's probably one of the most unique creatures you could probably get into the game that isn't a fantasy creature. This is a very, very rare creature in real life, the Japanese Giant Salamander, and I do fully recommend you go to Sustainable Dazan, or Dazan, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but to check out and help support this creature in its, fight against extinction, because this is a very close topic to home for a lot of us, because we're all dinosaur enjoyers and dinosaurs are extinct, and if things keep going the way they keep going, it's likely the giant salamander will end up extinct as well, and we don't want that, of course. So go check it out, support the foundation that's set up, and of course enjoy the mod and help raise awareness. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.